Hello, it's Bailey and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be here today. For those of you who don't know, I am currently living at my dad's house, like an hour away from where we actually live. And us coming here, he didn't have any Wi-Fi, and it's just been like a whirlwind getting in here and like getting the kids used to it and everything. But today is July 20th, so we're like 3 weeks into this gig, and I'm finally feeling ready to push forward with some of my YouTube stuff and try to make some time for reading. So here I am to do a jokes episode. I was tempted because everything got like moved around through our move and like everything was just kind of a mess. I contemplated just starting over a new jokes round, but I decided not to for the integrity of my stats of this game at the end of the year. So I am going to push forward. You'll see when I do the card flips what I chose to do. I pulled the cards out, I reshuffled cards. It's gonna be fine. And so without further ado, let's all pretend like nothing happened at all and move forward into round 2, episode 2, I believe. Here are those card flips. Okay, a couple things before I start here. Full transparency, these cards were all mixed up, so I pulled the 3 cards that I flipped in episode 1, but the rest of the deck has been shuffled. I'll probably shuffle it again one more time in front of you just so you know that they're freshly shuffled. But a little chaos here. Also, one of my children, probably the big kid, colored on the board, you know, just full chaos. But today's game piece is this little, they're called Little People. It's my kid's newest doll obsession. We have 100 of them. But I'm leaving from up here at reread random number, the spot I'm trying to get back to. This round is short book down here. So let's go ahead and do 3 card flips and see what happens. A jack, so I will unhaul a book. An 8, so I'll do the opposite of the prompt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First on Goodreads. Not sure how I'll do the opposite of that. We'll see. Then a 5, which I just moved 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is NetGalley. So I need to do the opposite of first on Goodreads and a NetGalley book. For opposite of first on Goodreads, I honestly might just do like least popular. So I might just sort what has the lowest amount of ratings. I'll check right back with you. So not a bad start at all, in my opinion. But I'm going to start by showing you the unhaul. I do have all of my TBR books here. None of my like normal shelf books, but I did bring the entire TBR. And so I am going to unhaul Husband Material by Alexis Hall. Ooh, the air conditioning just turned on and I do think it's going to be kind of loud. But I'm going to unhaul this because I did read Boyfriend Material during Wonderthon and I just didn't click with it. I didn't enjoy it at all. I think I gave it 2 stars, if not even lower than that. So it's not realistic that I'm going to read this. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of it. Shame on me for buying a sequel before reading the first book. I rarely do that anymore, and this is why. And then I landed on first on Goodreads, but to do the opposite of the prompt. And so I said in the card flips that I was going to choose to probably pick something with the lowest amount of ratings. And I'm happy with this decision because the book that pulled was Marry Me by Midnight by, I believe, Felicia Grossman. And this is also a NetGalley book that came out like I think in 2022 even, and it's a historical romance, so it's something fun for me to get to read. It should hopefully will feel like a treat. Hopefully I will like it, but it only had like 800 ratings and only one of my friends had rated it, so the likelihood of that having ever came up on my Goodreads scroll is like close to never. Then for the NetGalley book I'm gonna read for the NetGalley prompt, I think I'm going to choose to do Compound Fracture by Andrew Joseph White. I believe this comes out in September, but I immediately requested this arc after we read The Spirit Bares Its Teeth for the Shelf This Book Club because I really enjoyed it and I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. And so that was also like a trans YA mystery, and this one I believe is also a trans main character, and I believe, so these both have horror aspects. I believe that in this one we have a trans teen character who gets like beat almost to death, and then as they're like coming out of this, there's like the ghost of a man who's like with them, I guess. So I also found it hard to explain The Spirit Bares Its Teeth before I got into it, and I feel like I'm struggling the same way with this, that like the synopsis does give information, but I need to like read it with my own eyes to probably be able to explain it to you. And then jumping into this, there were a couple like obligation reads I had that I had already started that I was hoping to work into this. I didn't work them into the card pulls, but I do get a My Choice book, and so for my My Choice book I'm going to read Where Sleeping Girls Lie by Farida Abike Imide, and this is the Shelf This Book Club pick for July. By the time you're seeing this, that probably would have already happened, but I'm like only 30 pages into this, and so I will read it here and let you know my thoughts. So far, all I can say is that I am really liking the writing style, so I have high hopes for enjoying how this is written as long as the plot works out. And this one is also like a YA horror mystery, so that might be the vibe of this video. Other than historical romance, completely different vibe. But let me just go ahead and get into it. Like I said, I did already start this one, so this will probably be the first thing you see me talking about. Hello, good morning. I have finished a book. I finished Where Sleeping Girls Lie. We actually had the discussion for it on my channel last night, and I always feel like after talking about a book in a group, and I feel like every time I discuss a book all I have to say is the negatives, so I feel like after talking about a lot of the negatives yesterday, I am left feeling a little bit more negatively towards the book than I was when I actually finished it. When I finished it, I gave it a 3.5. Now I'm wondering if I would lean more towards a 3, but I think even the points that were made as to like negatives for the book, those people who were expressing those opinions still gave it like higher ratings also. So I think overall it was fairly enjoyed. I think a lot of people thought it was slow. I think for me, being something so far out of my comfort zone, that it was fairly enjoyable. I don't read a lot of YA anymore, and especially YA mystery I don't tend to enjoy, and dark academia is a very hit or miss for me, and so this one I do think worked. There's just some like themes in the book. There's a big theme of sexual assault in that book, as well as there is a suicide in that book, and so I just always reading that in a young adult, I'm like, would I actually want young adults to read this? And I'm not so sure about this one. I do think that the greater point that the author is trying to make is important and good, but it maybe could have gone with like 1 or 2 less hard topics just to drive home the point of one thing, if that makes any sense. But I have started another book for this vlog now. I have started Marry Me by Midnight, and I'm a little nervous. I'm like just over 30 pages into it, and I'm not liking the writing style so far, so I'm gonna try to push through definitely a little bit more of that before I make any decisions here. But the writing style right off the bat is not really jiving with me. I'm not connecting with it, which is gonna make it hard for me to follow the story, so we'll see how that goes. I'm gonna give it more of a try, but it is Monday. I have my coffee. I dropped the kids off at daycare already, and it's time for a work week. I do think my dad's gonna be out of town for the next couple days, so hopefully I can have some peace and not have, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like when he's around, I feel like I need to keep everything like clean as I go, which it is much easier for us to just kind of like let the kids make a mess and then clean it up after the fact, rather than like constantly hover over them. So hopefully that'll give us a little bit of peace and personal space, and then yeah, there's motorcycles driving by, so off to work I go. Hi, it's me. It's like a week later. I ended up having to read a book club book like in between here, so I ended up taking a break from Marry Me by Midnight, and I kind of was dreading coming back to it because I already said I wasn't really connecting to the writing, so I tried to come back to it today, this morning. It's a Friday. I have the day off because we're getting a new server at work, so I have a random Friday off here. So this morning I was like, okay, I'm gonna read that book, and I tried to go back to it this morning, and I still just was not vibing with the book and the writing style. I just could not connect. Like some writing I just can't follow, okay? And so I did decide to DNF that book. So fairly early this morning, like before 9 o'clock, I switched over to Compound Fracture, is that what it's called? By Andrew Joseph White. And I'm already like 150 pages into it, and I am
loving it. It is so good so far. It is a YA horror about a trans main character, and there is a lot of hate in this book. It is essentially so far like a huge coming out story. They have came out to their family as trans and came out to their friend as trans, so it is them doing that for the first time. But the main like kicker of this book and where this book starts is that our main male character is beaten almost to death, and so upon waking up he is now seeing somebody who is long passed away. So of course he's wondering, like, do I have brain damage? Am I really seeing this person? At first he didn't know who this person was, but he since like figured out who this person is. And so now going into like the next portion of this book, I feel like we're really working towards like our main character and one of his friends really going against the hate in this town, and it seems pretty deep rooted. One of the boys who beat the main character is the sheriff's son, and the sheriff definitely knows what's going on and like is also trying to intimidate this character. So there's a lot going on here. I learned in The Spirit Bares Its Teeth that I just really love Andrew Joseph White's writing, and their characters are great. Like, I feel attached to it. I want to just keep reading. I do work tonight. I don't know if I've mentioned this on my channel, but I did pick up, before I had my current job, I was a full-time bartender, and I've picked up like one waitressing shift a week through this summer. So I do waitress tonight, so I'm gonna continue to just kind of do as much as I can. I did just film the Squash That series announcement also right here, so we're doing some things today. But yeah, I'm really excited to read that. I think I'll get through the rest of it pretty fast here, so I'm not quite halfway, but I bet between today and tomorrow, hopefully, for sure by the end of the weekend, I'll be able to finish that book and wrap up this episode. So I'll talk to you when that happens, but so far so good. I'm expecting to love this one all the way through. It is time, and I have finished Compound Fracture by Andrew Joseph White, and I'm actually really excited to talk to you and close out this vlog because I ended up also really loving this book. I did give it 4 stars, which I think I gave The Spirit Bares Its Teeth like 4.5 or 5, but I'm just in general really excited about this author and excited to have found a new author that I want to keep an eye out for. Overall, my main like things to say about the second half, I think I went pretty into depth explaining like the beginning of the book, and then the rest would be kind of spoilers. But this book is pretty political in a very interesting way, and I think in a very like activist way. So I think a lot of people in general will enjoy this book and this author a lot. So this is definitely one that I will push and encourage people to check out. If you, especially if you read The Spirit Bares Its Teeth with us in my book club, I think that you should definitely check out Compound Fracture as well. Also, the cover's green, which just makes me happy. But yeah, that concludes this episode of Jokes on Me. So I'm probably gonna do some card flips and get the next episode going now. So happy to be back on a roll, producing content, reading some books. So thank you so much for spending some time with me lately, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.